So in this video, I just want to talk about using the print statement a little bit more. So if you're using Python on um, something other than Vex, this is going to be particularly important. But even if you use it in Vex, some of this stuff is still going to be relevant. So yeah. Now, when you use addition, right? When I taught you how to use addition for integers, or you can also use addition for floats, of course. But I didn't say anything about strings. Now, actually, you can add two strings together. So if I did duck1 name plus, or let's say duck name combined equals duck1 name plus duck2 name. So now if I do this, right, and I print duck name combined, it will actually add these two strings together. It will literally put them and mush them together. It'll put Jimmy and Tom right next to it, like this. So you can actually add strings as well, but you might not use it in this case a lot. Rather, you'll use it more directly in the print statement. So I can just do this. And rather than making a whole variable for it, if I'm only planning on using this combined version of their name once, I can just print it directly to the screen like that. And I think it makes a lot more sense. Now, instead of doing two variables, I could also do like a string, like just directly put a string just like that and a variable together. So as you see, this works as well. I just combined this string and I just put a space right here and it worked. Now, another way of going about doing something like this is you can actually just put a comma in between and it will also work. The nice thing about if you put a comma there is it automatically adds your space for you. So now I can do this and they're the same output other than the fact that the name is different. So this is a way that I can put stuff in my print statement. And then one more way that you can combine things in your print statement. So other than just adding strings together, which by the way is called concatenation. That is the official name for when you combine two strings and you use addition for it. So that's concatenation. So other than concatenating some things, you can also use something called an F string. In an F string, I don't need to use a comma or a plus. And if I'm going to need to add variables a lot, it makes a lot more sense to use this thing called an F string. The name of all the ducks is, and here what you do, so first you put an F right in front of your quotation marks, and then wherever your variable is going, you put in these curly brackets. And inside the curly brackets, I put duck1 name. And then I can put a comma outside of the curly bracket, and it's just interpreted to be part of the string. Then I put duck2 name. And then I put another curly bracket and say duck3 name. And now everything works perfectly fine. Now, what if I wanted to um, use this curly bracket as part of my string and not use it for a variable, but I still want to use an F string. So although it's pretty unlikely that you'd want to do that, I think it's important that you know how to. And that's something you will need to use for any other symbol as well. So if I want to use a quotation mark inside of my text here, right? If I wanted to do a regular string and I did my name is watch what happens. You see how it gives me an error? Even though I put it all in one string, I'll get an error. And I use a regular print statement and it still doesn't work. So instead what you do is you use something called an escape sequence. An escape sequence is just a backslash. So rather than the regular forward slash that we use a lot of the time, this thing, you're going to use a backslash. And these backslashes are very useful. So as you see now, if I run it, it's perfectly fine. So it essentially cancels out the fact that this is a special character. It just says that it's a regular character. What if I want to use the backslash though? What if I want to say you can use a back or the escape sequence character is uh oops, this, right? Now if I run it, we're going to get an error because I can't just use it just like that. So instead what I do, I use a backslash on a backslash, double backslash, and now you see it works perfectly fine. Another special thing about these backslashes is if you use backslash and n, it creates a new line after. So now when I print something, it will have a line in between. It'll have an extra line in between. You see how I've made this extra new line? Or what I could do even better is now I can add this backslash character. And instead of creating a new print statement to add that backslash character, I can just do slash n, backslash n, and add it on the next line. By default, when you write a print statement, it will add a new line automatically anyway, so that my next statement, right, comes on a new line as well. But if you want to manually add another extra line, so instead of just like this one extra line, I want to add two extra lines, right? I want to make two spaces in between my text. I could do that too. Just do a backslash n, right? This is two lines below. And now, even though I actually print it in the same thing, here's one enter key, here's another enter key, and then boom, it prints. Enter, I mean like it's a new line character. Yeah. So yeah, and then there's also something called backslash t, which is a tab. And then when I do it, it creates this tab right here. So this can also be useful. And usually, yeah, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, so these are important things to keep in mind when you're printing stuff to the screen, or even if you're just making a string. So if I want to make a string like um, ducks equals, right, I can still use an f string in here and say duck one name and duck two name. And it'll still work if I do print ducks. And it'll do the exact same thing if I used a f string on the print statement alone. So as you see, there we go, Jimmy and Tom right here. Yeah, that's about all it is for the print statements. But these are all, like learning how to use an f string can be really, really helpful sometimes. If I wanted, I could even do multiplication inside of here. So I could do like duck one rating times 5, and it'll do the work. It'll do it for me. Hold up. Oh yeah. Another good thing to show here is that you have to make sure you have the right cases. So I used lowercase on accident, but it should be uppercase. But as you see, look, it even does math inside of there. So yeah, using f strings is going to be very, very helpful once you get used to it.